what can we do to help a child in the moment with their big feelings? Hi, my name is Aubrey Page, and I'm the CEO of Change Starts Here Collaborative. We support parents and professionals working with kids with brain-based disabilities. And I find so often when a child is having a really difficult moment, we notice that they're not using their coping strategies, and we are obviously upset. We've been teaching them for months to do X, Y, and Z, but in that moment, their brain is totally offline. It can't access those coping strategies. So what can we do to support them anyways? So we want to make sure that we are calm, which is very difficult in the moment. We want to make sure that we are giving them options, but not too many options. You can't say, where do you want to go that would help you feel calm? You could say, would you like to go here or here? And then one of those things can be a good option for the kid. Over time, and this is why it's so important to establish a relationship with the child, over time, you will know what a good next step is for them. But we cannot rely on the child to be able to use those coping strategies in the moment. And why can't we? Because we can't. Because we can't. As adults, it is very difficult for us in the moment to use the coping strategies that we know we're supposed to do. Have you ever flown off the handle and yelled at your kids? Why didn't you use your coping strategies? Because it's hard. It's very hard. And we have theoretically brains that are done developing if you're past the age of 25. So how do we then help support kids who are in those moments whose brain is offline due to trauma, due to developmental disabilities, due to trauma caused by developmental disability? What do we do to support them? Some things that we can do to help them get from fight, flight, freeze, or fawn back to their frontal lobe, engaging their brain, is we can ask them questions. My examples that I usually give are things like, oh my gosh, what's the color of that blanket grandma gave you? And they're mad. They're so mad. They're like, oh, it's red. You're like, yeah, but it has like a character on it. What's the character? It is Mickey Mouse. You're like, oh yeah, that's right. That's right. I haven't seen that blanket in a while. Do you know where it is? It is under my bed. And at this point now, I've asked you 3 questions that require your frontal lobe, right? When you're fight, flight, freeze, fawn, you are not thinking, let me think complex thoughts about where the blanket that grandma gave me is, right? You're thinking, how do I get myself safe in this moment? And so if we can help calm the limbic system and calm everything about the body that says you should not be regulated right now because you have to protect yourself, then hopefully we can get the child to calm down enough to feel safe to have a conversation. But what we are not doing is giving consequences, strategizing, problem solving in the moment when the child is upset. Now, you may say, well, in that moment, they need to associate what they did wrong with what the consequence I'm giving them. I hear you, but let's just go back to your childhood for a minute and think about a time that you did something wrong. And I'll just use myself as an example. My parents said, go to your room, young lady, you're grounded for a month. When I got to my room, do you think I thought, man, you're right, I made really bad choices, I shouldn't have done that, I really need to think about what I'm doing with my life? No, I was like, screw them and the horse they rode in on. I don't deserve to be grounded for a month, blah, blah, blah. I'm mad, right? And that's what we don't want to have happen. We want to wait until everything calms down, talk through it, and then if consequences make sense, a lot of times logical consequences, like, because you did this, I can no longer trust you doing this, and so now this is not a possibility for you, right? If logical consequences make sense, then give them then, but not when everybody's mad. It does not actually tie the 2 things together, because at that moment, the brain is trying to keep them safe and you are enemy number 1. So these are some ideas on how to help kids in those extra difficult moments.